Okay, so we're doing the second review for exam number 1. As follows, somebody just put up the title up there, exam 1 review, and this would be B. Okay, so we're up to the fourth question that I want to discuss. Fourth question as follows. It's x minus 5 squared minus 45 equals 0. The question will say solve or solve for x. That's pretty much it. So what do? We got to isolate x. Get rid of the negative 45 is our first move. Plus 45 left, plus 45 right. We get x minus 5 squared is equal to, this is gone, is equal to 45. Fine. Got to get rid of that squared. I'm trying to drive towards that x. So take the square root, that's the antidote to squared. Whatever you do to the left side, you do to the right. And in line number 3 here, be careful. These two cancel out, so we have x minus 5, that's fine, equals, but you need to write plus or minus square root of 45. We've mentioned that many times on the video. We're almost finished. Not quite. Plus 5 left, plus 5 right. We're driving towards that x. We're almost there. This crosses out, and we get 5 plus or minus the square root of 45. I put the 5 first. Don't put it after the 45, the square root. Put it before the square root. Now, there's one more thing that we got to do. There's no way we can sign off on this problem unless we do the following. We have to simplify this radical before we sign off on this problem. So therefore, it goes like this. Is there a perfect square underneath 45 that's a factor of 45 on the list, as I kept saying? Yes, there is. 9. 9 times 5 is 45, and 9 is a perfect square. This becomes 3 square root of 5. What's our final answer? It should be an equal. Equals 5 plus, we've just done the work here, it's 3 square root of 5. On the plus or minus, again, I'm going a little bit too fast for my own good. 5 plus or minus 3 square root of 5. What's on the on Alex? What do they like? They like the two answers separated by a comma, as we've mentioned also many times. Okay, so that is problem number 4 for our review. Let's see if we can take care of problem number 5 over here. Problem number 5 says solve for D, capital D. Watch for a capital or a small, but it's a capital D. And here's the full story. Here's the equation. G is equal to 4/5 in parentheses. Let's say it's L plus D. L plus D. Okay, we got to get to that capital D. How do we get rid of this 4/5? That's outside the parentheses. That's what we go after first. We've talked about this before. Multiply by the reciprocal. That's what we need to do, and that'll get rid of it. But whatever you do to the right, you got to do to the left. So multiply the G times 5/4 as well. That's the reciprocal. What happens? Over here, I have a little bit more room over here to show you exactly what I have over here. I have 5/4 G, and this is gone, 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 gone. It's all gone, is equal to L plus D. What do I need? I need D, so get rid of the L. Minus L left, minus L right. I have 5/4 G minus L, this is gone, equals D. I essentially have the answer. On the answer sheet, it's probably not, you're not going to read it from right to left. You're going to go from left to right. So on the answer sheet, it will probably look like this. Just switch places. 5/4 G minus L, and that pretty much should be on the answer sheet. This problem is over. What could happen to you is that they could put minus L first and then plus 5/4 G, but I doubt it. Okay, let's go for a problem number 6. A problem number 6. I think that if I move the paper up, I can get enough room for problem number 6. Let's see what happens here. I think it will work. Okay, so let's get it started. Problem number 6 looks like this. It says solve. That's again a story of solve. You're going to see X's in there, or maybe a W, or maybe a U, or an R, or an S, whatever they put in here. I happen to like using X. X over X minus 6 is equal to minus 5 over X minus 12. Here's what we need to do. Minus 12. Let us cross multiply. Cross multiply. The numerator times the denominator, and the denominator times the numerator. So X times X minus 12 is X times X is X squared. And X times negative 12 is negative 12X. And then if you cross multiply, you put an equal sign over here. And then you do the negative 5. You can cross multiply means either multiply this way or this way. It doesn't matter. It's numerator and denominator, crosswise. So negative 5 times X is negative 5X. It's on the other side of the equal sign. You have to have that equal sign there. Negative 5 times X, and negative 5 times negative 6 is plus 30. Okay, and now what we need to do is get a 0 on the right-hand side, and we'll be able to solve this. All right, how do I get a 0 on the right-hand side? Do a plus 5X and a minus 30. What do I get? Let me bring that over here. Let me bring it over here. This will be X squared minus 12X. I'm not touching this. This minus 5X and plus 5X is going, so if I do plus 5X on this side, obviously I have to do plus 5X on this side. And I have to do plus minus 30 on this side. Whatever I do to the right, I do to the left. That never changes. So this is going to be gone, and this is going to be gone. I'm going to get a 0. But over here, minus 12X and 5X is going to be negative 7X. I really should have done it that way. Is negative 7X. X squared, I do plus 5X on both sides, plus 5X and minus 30 on both sides. X squared I'll leave alone. The minus 12X and the 5X become a 7X. And so it's minus 7X. And then the minus 30's got nothing to go with, so it's minus 30 equals 0. So what do you read over here? X squared minus 7X minus 30 equals 0. Okay, now let's go to scrap paper. Let's go to scrap paper and ask, what is A times B? This is my scrap paper. A times B has got to be equal to negative 30. And A plus B has got to be equal to negative 7. What's going to do that trick? What is going to do that trick? What two numbers will do that? The answer is minus 10 and positive 3. Minus 10 times positive 3 is minus 30, and minus 10 plus positive 3 is going to be negative 7. This is a negative. Okay, those are my two magic numbers, minus 10 and positive 3. So this becomes X minus 10 times X plus 3 equals 0. We go into the T, and we have X minus 10 equals 0, plus 10 on both sides, you get X equals 10. Minus 3 on both sides, and you get X is equal to negative 3. And here is our two answers to this equation right over here. Those are the two answers to what eventually turns into a regular quadratic equation trinomial, which I can use I can solve by factoring if factoring exists, and it did exist, and if not, you use the quadratic formula. Okay, now I've definitely ran out of paper, so I must go up here. I must go up and close this and get myself another piece of paper for whatever time I have left. So here we go. There's another piece of paper, and we can use it maybe at least one more problem. Here comes problem number 7. Problem number 7 right here. Okay, so there's some instructions here. Simplify, but that's what it wants. But it's got some conditions that it wants to apply here. No negative numbers. No negative numbers under. No negative numbers under the radical. They don't want any negative numbers underneath the radical. Okay, that's no negative numbers underneath the radical. And another thing they don't want is no radical in the denominator, right? So basically they don't want any radicals in the denominator that we've seen such a thing before. Okay, here's question A. What if you have the square root of negative 84 over the square root of negative 7? And question B, let me just show you what it looks like. We can get to that in a second. What the square root of negative 5 times the square root of 3. Okay, here's how we can get rid of those two negatives. This is the same thing, and we've talked about this before, and it's a while back. This is material from the first test. You can put negative 84 and negative 7 underneath the same radical. You can go either way. If you have one big one, you can go to two small ones. You have two small ones, you make it one big. Okay, where does that lead us to? The negative and negative cancel out. Two negative, one negative, negative divided by negative is positive, so they cancel out. So that we're really looking at the square root of 84 over 7. Now, what is the 84 over 7? It is 12. 84 divided by 7 is 12. Right? Negative 84 divided by negative 7 is also 12. So if someone wants to skip that step, you could. You can go right away to the square root of 12. Square root of 12 can't remain that way. I can still simplify it because there is a perfect square underneath 12 that's a factor of 12. And that is namely 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So here's the final answer. 2 times the square root of 3. There's no radical in the denominator. There's no denominator. And there's no negative number underneath the radical. So this is the appropriate simplified answer. Let's do this one. Square root of negative 5 times square root of 13 is the square root of negative 15. We're pretty much stuck. We have a radical in the denominator, and so we can't go any further with that. There's nothing that we can do. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see if we can seemingly get a problem number 8 and still on this same video. Problem number 8. What about if we're asked to rationalize the denominator? Rationalize the denominator. That would be negative 3 over 11. 11 over 11 plus 2 square root of 7. I'm going to have to go on to another video to do that, but you know what to do. Multiply the denominator by the same thing with the 11 and the minus 2 square root of 7, and we'll go on from there. All right, so we'll get out of this video, and we'll do number 8 on the third video. Okay.